everyone, welcome to a new video. It is me, Desiree, and it is time to talk about some of the most annoying makeup of the year. I was going to call this the worst makeup of the year, but that sounded kind of mean. But some of it is the worst makeup of the year. Of course, this is all my own personal experience and my own opinion. If I say I don't like this eyeshadow formula, it doesn't mean I don't like you because you like the product. It just means I don't like the product. Every time I see someone talk about their worst products and stuff, everyone gets really defensive in the comments, and it's just makeup, you know, everything's your personal experience. So if you like some of these, that's okay, and it's okay for me not to like them. So I'm sure there are products in here that products that I didn't like this year that I don't own anymore. I'm sure I've forgotten about them. I don't save everything I dislike, but this is just stuff that I happened to save for whatever reason. One thing I didn't like this year that I did already return was the Natasha Denona Glam face palette. Just really drove home the fact that that brand is not for me. I don't care about the formulas. They don't work for me. Ugh, I didn't like that palette whatsoever, so I returned it. But everything else in here, let's just see what I didn't like this year. So right here on top from Beekman, these are the pure goat milk facial cleansing wipes. So I'm not a big face wipe kind of person, but I bought a bunch of stuff from this brand, and for the most part I like it. But these wipes are probably the worst. Well, these ones and the Yes to Cucumbers wipes, worst ones I've ever tried in my life. Not only is the wipe just too abrasive, it burns the heck out of my face. I mean, I hit myself with the packaging. See, that's what I get for talking bad about it. These don't work for me. They burn so badly. I mean, so bad. I feel like I have a chemical burn on my face. Even just cold water hurts a lot. Made my face so red. I mean, I really feel like I got a chemical burn by using these. I don't like those at all, and I would never recommend them. This is something that was more recent to me. This is the Miss Claus The Lit List from BH Cosmetics. Talk about one of the most disappointing palettes I've ever used. I was just so disappointed with this because I have two other BH Cosmetics palettes, two of their, what the heck's the collection called? Speak Up or Speak Out, something like that. I love those two that I have. So I thought this would be like a full palette of that kind of formula, but it's not. It looks really pretty. Like there's a lot of beautiful shimmers and foils in here. A beautiful color selection. There's enough mattes in here to really go well with all of the shimmers as well. But I don't like this. I don't like the formula of these mattes in here, and I don't like these shimmers at all. They don't work well with the mattes, which is definitely one of my biggest annoyances in makeup. I know Emily Noel said her biggest annoyance was overspray. Mine is when mattes and shimmers don't work well together, even though they're in the same palette. What I mean by that is you can have one of the matte shades all over your eye and then go with one of the shimmers and it doesn't stick. It doesn't stick onto that matte shadow. It drives me nuts. And that's how this is. None of the shimmers stick onto the matte shadows. Also, the shimmers are completely loaded with glitter, which is fine, but it's that kind of glitter that falls on your face throughout the day. I mean, tons of fallout while you're putting it on, of course, but throughout the day, you're gonna see specks of glitter all over the place, and it's not that glitter that wipes away easily. It's the one that after you wash your face at night, it's still gonna be stuck onto your skin. You're gonna see it there in the morning. Definitely an annoying palette. I'm sure some people would really get along with this, but for me, it's just very, very annoying to use. Another palette that was just a big disappointment was the MAC Botanic Panic palette. So this was the first MAC palette I've ever purchased. I most likely will never buy another one because this was one of the worst first impressions to MAC eyeshadows. The only other MAC eyeshadows I have two of the Paint Pots, and I have a couple of the Extra Dimension eyeshadows. Not all of those are really good. Just one of them I have is really good. And this palette, very disappointing. So the colors are really pretty, and some of them are nice, but for the most part, the colors do not show up. They don't blend nicely. They're really difficult to use. Mostly just the pigmentation is really bad, as well as the shimmer colors don't really stick onto the lid that nicely. Just a big disappointment considering it was the first time I ever bought a MAC palette. Never want to buy another one. Okay, these eyeshadows right here, I kind of feel bad mentioning them because someone left me a comment the other day on the Flower Beauty video that I put up earlier this year and said that they love these eyeshadows because it's exactly what they're looking for. They only like a light wash of color, and I absolutely hate these things. These are definitely one of the worst things I've used all year, not just a disappointment. They're from Flower Beauty, and they are the Watercolor Eye Tints. Oh my gosh, I have the shade Stellar Wash and Twilight Wash. This is what they look like. I got these at CVS. So you're supposed to shake them up. They do separate pretty drastically, so make sure you shake them up. And they come with a little applicator, and the color looks pretty. When you swatch it, it looks all right. But trying to get these on the lid to look even is an absolute nightmare. So this is what it looks like in a swatch. And the formula is just too thin to be able to blend in an even way. Like you can see like there are patches that are darker than others, but that's how they'll look on your eyelid as well. It's just really difficult to get it to look even. I really don't like the color. And then I got the one here called Twilight Wash, which is the same kind of issue. It's too watery and too thin, and it doesn't blend nicely because every time you're trying to move it or to build it up or something, it just erases it. They were so annoying. This is another brand that's just not for me. As much as I have tried with Flower Beauty over the years, it's just not for me. I have two products from them that I really like. These are not one, nor would I recommend those to anybody. Another Flower Beauty product I didn't like was the Light Illusion Full Coverage Concealer. I tried this out earlier this year too. Packaging is really pretty. It has a nice doe foot applicator. I thought the shade match was pretty okay, but I didn't like this formula at all. It just did not work for me. It really just it looked gross on my face. It was very clear that I was wearing concealer. Really did not enjoy this at all. And I don't remember what the comment was. Someone had left me a comment about this concealer and they had to do like a whole procedure to make it work for them. And I was like, that's too much work for me. This just doesn't work for me. Another concealer I didn't like was the Catrice True Skin High Cover Concealer. Catrice is another brand that I was never really interested in, and I purchased a few things recently. I got, what else did I even get? I don't even remember the things I purchased. But I bought this concealer. I really don't like it. Same thing like with the Flower Beauty one. You can see it on top of your skin. I just really don't like it. It just looks really heavy, really thick. As much as I tried to use like the tiniest bit, it just does not work for me. It just looks heavy. You could see it right on top of your face, and it's not for me. This thing from Covergirl, this is the Covergirl Olay Simply Ageless Foundation. I wanted to try this forever, and I finally picked one up. I got the shade 230 Classic Beige. So it looks like this. It's like a cream makeup mixed with a swirl of some Olay moisturizer, which sounds like a great idea. It sounds like it's gonna work really well. Unfortunately, that white swirl of moisturizer is really just like a white swirl of white clown makeup. It is so white. So the actual just makeup part in here looks fine. It's a nice color match. I don't mind it, but I have to kind of just like pick at it like this, because if I touch that white cream, it changes the color of the foundation to something so white and just a completely different color. I'm gonna try to see if I can get the moisturizer in here so you can see, but it changes the color of the foundation way too drastically. So that's the color without the moisturizer, that's the color with the moisturizer, and it also doesn't feel good on the face when you have the moisturizer in there. I don't know what it was. This formula is just really weird and definitely just not for me. What else? I have the Physicians Formula Butter Believe It Butter Primer. I really liked, oh, I just put it away. I put all the foundations away this morning. I really like the Butter Believe It foundation that Physicians Formula came out with this year, but I did not like this primer. I already kind of knew I wasn't gonna like it, because I'm not a fan of putty primers. I just don't get the hype. I don't get how to use them. They just don't work for me at all. But I bought it because it came with the foundation, and it does have like a butter smell, but like actual butter, like some buttered butter, like a stick of butter. And I just don't like that. I don't mind the smell too much, but I don't like the texture of this at all. It doesn't make my makeup look any better. It makes it look kind of worse. And this is just not for me. Another thing that really just is like, that's it for the butter primers. I'm never trying another one type of thing. Let's see, something from e.l.f. The Putty Eye Primer. This is one of the worst products I've ever used. This is definitely one of the things I would say is one of the worst products I used all year, not just annoying. I didn't get this. I mean, it's already completely dried up. You can see it's pulling away from the packaging and everything. And I've only purchased this year. So, which shows me it's not gonna last very long. And I literally used it a few times and it's been sitting with the lid on the rest of the year. So I would say you're probably gonna have to replace this quite often. Anyway, other than that, it is so thick. It's not really putty. To me, it was more like a thick clay. You have to like really dig your hand in there and your finger to get the primer out, and then putting it on your lid. I mean, it was pulling and pulling at my skin to try to get it to spread. I can't imagine that that's how the texture is. I feel like I must have gotten an old one, which is weird because I got it right when it came out, kinda. So I don't know how I could have already gotten an old one, but it dried up really quickly and the texture was just terrible. Terrible for an eye primer. One of the worst things I've ever tried. This was something I just didn't like and didn't really get. It's from Beauty Bakery and it's the Jellies. So Beauty Bakery has a little line called Bite Size over at Target. And this, I bought several of the things this year and most of them I actually really liked. I really liked the bronzer. I really liked the eyeshadow palette. I loved it so much. I bought their holiday release, their other Bite Size palette. Really liked that one. I also got that at Target. And I bought this, and I really do not like this. So it's in a clear package, which I love clear packaging, I really do. But this one is just really cheaply made. It's one of those packagings you can tell is gonna start like cracking down the sides for no reason. Also, when you turn it, you can just like hear the mechanisms in there working, which is weird to me. It also has cracks already inside the middle. But it's one of these clear lip balms, and I thought it was just gonna be a clear lip balm or like a lip gloss, which is why I got it. But it's actually one of those mood type of things. It changes with your pH, but it really just makes everyone's lips look pink. I'll see if it changes while it sits there. It's one of those type of things, and I really do not like the color of those types of things. I think the pink that it comes out with is just not very good for me. You can kind of see it changing a little bit. And also the formula feels so gross on my lips. I could not stand having this on. It really just, it feels gross. One of those like super cheap kind of formulas. We'll see how it changes throughout the video, but you'll see it. Did not like this, wouldn't recommend it. I have here from Burt's Bees, the cream eyeshadow in the shade Honey Caramel. So I bought a couple things from Burt's Bees earlier this year as well. I bought one of the cream blushes and I love it. And I bought one of the cream eyeshadows. That's this one here called, what did I say it was? Honey Caramel. And this one too, this is something I just didn't enjoy because it doesn't last. This is another one of those cream eyeshadows that it, like trying to blend it out and make it look even on your lids, every time you would touch it, it would erase, and you can't really build it up because every time you re-go to cover over it, it'll erase what's underneath. Just really annoying to blend, and it creased and faded so quickly throughout the day. So there's the color there, really pretty. Oh, you can see that lip balm kind of turning pink. I just don't like that color. So this formula, just not for me. It's also already kind of dry, even though I just bought it earlier this year. And I have cream eyeshadows that I have had for years, and they're perfectly creamy as the day I bought them, and this one is already getting dry, and I've only bought it this year. So did not like that or the formula. Another thing from Flower Beauty, this brand, oh man, it's just not very good for me. This is an eyeshadow quad, the Petal Play Shadow Quad. Or is the color called, no, the color's called Black Iris. It doesn't matter. This is what it looks like here. I didn't like the packaging. I find the packaging kind of just whatever. But this is the colors here. They're really pretty. Also got this at CVS. They look really pretty in the pan, but this formula has like zero pigmentation. I have these two darker colors here. I have to build up so much, just building, trying to get them to show up to anything on my eyelids. And then by then, it's so powdery because you're just building up this powder over and over, and it makes my eyelids look so dry. Really don't like this formula. Flower Beauty is also just another brand I think I'm kind of like done, over it. Most things I've tried over the years I don't enjoy. This is from Peach and Lily. Oh, I wanted to like this. This is a Skin Shield Blurring Primer. Got this at Ulta, I think. So I have tried with this a million times. I even tried it again this morning and it's just gross. So it's kind of thin. I don't know if you're supposed to shake it up. I do. But every time it comes out, it's separated and it looks sick. Watch, I'm gonna see if it'll, it's separated, of course. Let me see if I can show you without it like dripping everywhere. I don't know, you can see. It's like a gross white texture with like this oil, like, ugh, it's so gross. Every time I pump this out, it's just like a curdled white chunk with like water around it, and it's so yucky. It literally worked that way the first time I used it. The day I bought it, I tried it out. It was chunky like that and separated. I was like, is that how it's supposed to be? I have no idea. But it's just gross. The texture's wrong. Something's wrong with it. Did not like it this year. What else is in here? This is probably, is this the worst thing I tried all year? Let's see. Those Flower Beauty eyeshadows are pretty bad. The e.l.f. Putty Eye Primer was pretty bad. But I think this is probably the worst thing I tried all year. From Maybelline, it's the Fit Me Tinted Moisturizer. Oh my goodness. What the heck happened with this stuff? So, tinted moisturizers were everywhere. Everybody was coming out with them, and all of them were good. All of them. They're all the same kind of thing. All of them are working. The Wet n Wild one is really good, but this one from Maybelline, I don't know. I think they were just trying to jump on the wet, like the, what am I trying to say? Tinted moisturizer train, and they didn't test it enough or something, but this is one of the worst formulas I've ever used of a complexion product. So it starts out like it's going to be good, and you're blending it on. It was a pretty okay shade match for me. And as you're putting it on, you're thinking, oh, this is nice. And then by the time you say the phrase, oh, this is nice, it has dried onto your face and it's not going to move. It's gonna stick exactly where you kind of almost had it blended in, and it's not gonna go anywhere. It's one of the weirdest formulas ever. It's not moisturizing at all. It feels just like a weird, tight, drying liquid makeup, and it's like this one right here is already dry on my hand, and when I say dry, I mean it's stuck. It is stuck there. And I don't know if you can see how it blended. Like, there's like this long streak right here, and no matter what you do to try to move it around, it's not gonna move. It's one of the worst formulas I've ever used of a tinted moisturizer. Not moisturizing, it's just a weird formula. But I kind of think they were trying to, like I said, jump on that tinted moisturizer train, and they didn't really put a lot of thought into that product. I don't know, because that's the only explanation I can think of for that awful formula. There's not a ton left in here. Some brow gels this year that really just let me down. Almost every brow gel this year really just was like, suddenly stopped working. NYX Control Freak, I only have like 10 eyebrow hairs, but for some reason, they won't stay up, and like no brow gel will hold them up. I don't know what it is. Glossier Boy Brow, I really, really do not like this one at all. Okay. Let's see. This one right here. I don't get the hype on this one. This doesn't hold for anything like at all. And I like I said, I have like the tiniest bit of eyebrow to hold up, but this one, it feels more like a brow conditioner of some sort, but not a gel. It doesn't hold whatsoever. Same with the Milk Kush Clear Brow Gel. The Wet n Wild Brow Obsessive, another one that did nothing for me. Oh, this! I thought this was a mascara. Is this one of the worst? This is also one of the worst things I've used all year. The L'Oreal Unbeliever Brow Longwear Top Coat. So this was something I was really excited to try because, like I said, all my brow gels just suddenly stopped working for me. Also, the autofocus has stopped working as well. Whatever. So when I saw this, I was like, yes, L'Oreal makes a lot of great brow products. They've got to make a great brow gel. Because, do they have one? Do they have one? I can't even remember if they have a brow gel. Anyway, this, I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is supposed to be because it's not a brow gel. It's just a thin, like, liquid. It also smells really strongly of alcohol, and when I say it smells like an open bottle of 90% isopropyl alcohol is sitting right here. That's how this smells. There's also really no like stopper in here or any way to wipe off this thing, like it's just loose in there. And the first time I used this, I guess I was holding it funny as I was putting it on, and it spilled all over my pants. Literally just poured out of the container. The spoolie is really nice. Like, it's tiny, it's bent, it's nice to kind of push up your brows, but it's not a brow gel. It's not a gel whatsoever. It's just like a water, like an alcohol liquid. So when you're going to put it on, it's not putting your brows in place, it's not holding them. It's just like erasing all of the stuff you put on. So if I were to put this on now, it's just gonna erase all of the powder and pencil. I don't know what it is. I don't know what this is supposed to be, but it's not for me. What else? I think that's kind of everything I wanted to mention. There's a couple other things I have used before or mentioned before, like the NYX Bear With Me moisturizer. This is really good, but it smells like an old fish tank. I really just do not like the smell of hemp. There's a couple things like that in here, but nothing that was really like this. This is the worst stuff all year. If I could give you a top 3, Maybelline Tinted Moisturizer, definitely one of the worst things I used all year. The e.l.f. Putty Eye Primer, and then I'm gonna go with the Unbeliever Brow. No! Okay, top 4. I gotta mention these Flower Beauty Watercolor Eye Tints too. So 4 worst things of the year and a lot of honorable mentions. But that is it. If you tried any of these products and you love them, please don't be offended. It's okay. It's just makeup. We all have our own experience. But that is it. Let me know some of the worst makeup you used all year. I would love to know. And if you enjoyed this, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And I will see you later in another video. Goodbye.